Hi, I'm Margaret Peterson Haddix, the author of the Shadow Children series, the Missing series, the 10th book in the 39 Clues series, and lots of other books. I was someone who definitely fell in love with books at a very young age, and as soon as I realized there was actually somebody who wrote the books, I thought that's got to be the greatest job on the face of the earth, and that's what I want to do. And so even at a very young age, I was making up stories and writing them down and kind of playing along with it. Pretty much my entire family is full of bookworms, and my mother tells the story that when she was a kid, they'd go on family vacations and her parents would yell at her, "Stop reading that book so we can see, whatever we've come to see." And it's so funny because then when I was a kid, that's what my parents yelled at me. You'd be like, "There's the Grand Canyon out there, stop reading, look out the window." And it was so funny when it got to the point that I was doing that same thing with my own children. So it's definitely a family trait. As a child, I pretty much read anything I could get my hands on. In a pinch, a cereal box would seem interesting to me if there was nothing else that was around to read. I read a lot of books that were older books that had belonged to my parents and grandparents when they were children. My older brother and my grandfather were both heavily interested in science fiction, so I borrowed a lot of their books and read a lot of science fiction, which then ended up playing into my own books. I grew up on a farm, and I think a lot of people have these rosy images of it just be so pleasant and, the cuddly animals and all of that. And there was a lot of that. My mother tells a story about how she would have me dressed and ready to go to church, and she'd turn around and I'd be out in the chicken coop playing with the little baby chickens, and obviously not dressed and ready to go to church because then I would smell like the chicken coop. So there were a lot of fun things like that, and I'm very happy that I grew up on a farm because I had a lot of freedom, got to roam a lot, spent a lot of time outdoors, and I think it was a wonderful way to grow up. I think definitely because I lived out in the country and my closest friends were several miles away, which meant that either their parents or my parents would have to drive back and forth so I could play with other kids besides my siblings. I think that was a big part of the reason that books became such close friends of mine, because it was a pretty isolated way to grow up. But it also happily made me feel very close to my brothers and sister and my parents, and that was also nice. I think definitely because I grew up feeling so close to my siblings and they were my main playmates growing up, and also very close to my cousins as well. I think that I tend to reflect that in my books, that in many cases it's the siblings who are solving things together.